There's an old legend in Oregon that our early explorers, the Lewis and Clark expedition, each year send back a trusted scout. Mission: travel again the old Oregon Trail and return with the latest word on what is ahead for the Beaver State. To this pioneer scout of our legend, here is the new state of Oregon, south of the Columbia River in Washington State, west of farm-rich Idaho, north of sunburned Nevada and California, and clear to the wide Pacific, where a new frontier of opportunity in our United States, our vast natural resources are now being discovered and developed. To the nation, we're becoming known as the Eager Beaver State, 2 states in 1. Towering Cascade Mountains still divide our east from west, and our climate into moist and dry. Steep, rugged grandeur right down the center of the state. On eastern slopes, high plateau land, found to be perfect for dry dirt farming. Great rolling acres of grain and fine potato land. Crops to thrive with limited rainfall. On western Cascade slopes, warm Pacific currents still bring moisture to help us develop our rich earth into lush pasturage for dairy farming. And out of the weird spires and bleak rock crags of Central Oregon, a new treasure of minerals is flowing. Bucket-lined dredges scoop up tons of gold ore-bearing earth. Floating factories in the mineral fields. Tunneled from our painted hills are the ores of silica, silver, copper, lead, zinc, manganese, magnesite, perlite, and dictamite. Near Roseburg is mined the ore of that strange fluid metal called quicksilver or mercury. At Glass Buttes, Oregon, the hill slopes gleam with obsidian, natural glass created by volcanic explosions. Jewels of shining black, flashing red. Huge deposits of alumina, discovered near Portland, give promise for a great aluminum industry to come in a light metal world. From the basaltic cliffs of Oregon comes a strong material to build dams and bridges. Man-made stone. From mills like this busy cement plant here at Lyme. Out of the strata of minerals piled 30 million years high is pouring more and more riches through our Eager Beaver State Mineralogy. Research center of our state's mining industry is a $1 million laboratory operated in Albany, Oregon by the Federal Bureau of Mines. Working patiently, skilled mineralogists combine objectives of both science and industry to create a better way of life. Zirconium, germanium, beryllium, chromium, and thorium are among the metals produced here. All vital today in the manufacture of radio vacuum tubes and in atomic energy developments. The shape of tomorrow is being cast in pilot plants today. Research advances into nickel, lead, zinc, chromite, vanadium, fluorine, platinum, and high iron content bauxite. The Oregon Mineral Trail is well on its way toward the light metal era ahead. And we shall owe much to the pioneering efforts of Bureau of Mines scientists at Albany and to our tireless prospectors who still search the mountains of Oregon for new treasures. On western slopes of these Cascade Mountains still rises another Oregon treasure. Trees, watered by rain winds from the sea. As in the days of our earliest explorers, here is the year-round greenery. Vast forests of towering Douglas fir, of tall spruce, hemlock, and pine, of the fragrant cedar. More stands of virgin timber than in any other state of the Union. Here, in the most perfect climate for growing trees, timber is raised as a crop, to be harvested on a far-sighted schedule by the lumber companies, cooperating to keep Oregon green. Tree farms nurse seedlings which will be transplanted to grow new forests for our grandsons. From watchtowers strategically placed in all wooded areas, alert rangers forever scan the landscape for that telltale wisp of smoke, the terrible warning signal that the greatest menace to our forest heritage is on the prowl. Fire. Scorched earth, funeral pyre to a careless flame. Here are the black scars of the 1933 calamity at Tillamook, worst in Oregon's history. 10 billion board feet of saw timber were seared to the soil. But from the grim ashes of desolation rises the timber for tomorrow through our unending reforestation. Today and forever, the ring of the axe echoes through these fabulous woods where you pioneers 100 years ago hunted the beaver. Now, more and more lumbering processes are being mechanized, speedier and easier methods, through the miraculous power of modern machinery. Handling millions of board feet of lumber every year calls for special mechanical equipment. This strange vehicle was invented by a group of clever native sons who knew just what was needed: fast pickup. Oregon lumber is hammered into the homes of our nation. Worked into exquisite forms, art creations which go out as goodwill ambassadors of Oregon, is the rare wood of the myrtle tree, treasured for beauty and lasting utility. New exciting use of wood scraps, once discarded as useless waste, is made possible through wallboard. After chips have been shredded, the wood shavings are squeezed together in a hydraulic press under terrific pressure. Wood fibers are compressed into a composite board, rivaling the strength of standing timber. New methods for making plywood have created another important industry in Oregon. Great peeler logs are now pared like apples into thin sheets which are welded together into solid walls of wood, strong and beautiful. From the products of Oregon's forests now come much more than beaver skins for the felt hats of yesterday. From flat, arid eastern plains, over which you early Oregon trailers kept on rolling because you thought this dry wasteland untillable, also rises a new harvest. Here, our yield of wheat per acre now compares favorably with the best harvests of the Dakotas. Huge mechanized combines reap and thrash vast fields in record time. This high plateau land is ideal for mechanized farming equipment. On 65,000 farms, brightening more than 20 million acres, oats are another important food crop. With our average summer temperature hitting just 67 degrees, and in winter holding a 30-degree average, Oregon offers just about ideal agricultural conditions for rapid crop production. In the western section around Salem, barley does exceptionally well. Alfalfa, which you pioneers never heard of 100 years ago, is feed for our farm animals, along with our great hay harvest. Fields of fragrant clover, a soil-restoring rotation crop, also provide our farmers with more than 1 million pounds of clover seed to sell each year to farmers in other states. 20,000 acres are planted to sugar beets. From this root crop comes sugar, sweet as a cane of Cuba. More than 2,500 acres of crisp green lettuce are packed each year, ready for market when other lettuce fields have gone to seed. Potatoes, more than 40,000 acres of the tubers, averaging 160 bushels from each acre. Tribute to our soil of volcanic ash and sandy loam, perfect for all root crops, including the squash, so amusingly named by Oregon's early Indians. Along the Oregon coastline, fertile soil and moist climate make the Pacific Highway a path through a fragrant flower garden. The bulbs of these lilies are sold to gardeners the world over. Near Portland are shimmering fields of tulips. At Grants Pass, where once mighty forests grew, now bloom a crop of gladiolas that yield a greater profit to the bulb growers than was earned from the standing timber. In Oregon, roses blossom red all year round. Our annual festival in Portland, world-renowned as the City of the Roses, is a mecca for flower lovers. World famous, too, is Oregon's fruit. $4.5 million worth. A peach of a crop. Our luscious Anjou pear is also becoming known from coast to coast as the perfect Christmas gift from the Northwest. A pear-shaped $12 million a year. There's a saying, if it comes from a tree, it probably grows in Oregon. Our wonderful Hood River apples stem from 800 original seedlings and a few grafted trees you early pioneers trekked over the Oregon Trail in 1847. From other eastern Oregon trees come English walnuts, now known as Oregon walnuts. Our beaver state is the largest producer of filberts, sometimes known as hazelnuts. Bing cherries from the Dalles are an all-year-round crop. No more does America import from Italy 90% of its maraschinos. They now come from Oregon, as do blackberries, raspberries, gooseberries, and strawberries. An annual crop valued at $3.5 million and extending the old Oregon Trail into the lives of people everywhere, bringing them new enjoyment and health through the fruits of our eager beaver state. To deliver the fruit of our trees in perfect freshness, great factories close to our orchards work around the clock, processing to perfection. In refrigerated trucks and railroad cars, some quick frozen and the rest canned, those treats travel a new Oregon Trail of good taste. Our turkeys, too, are now traveling high, wide, and handsome, range-fed for some holiday table, far, far away. Approximately 250,000 head of sirloin steaks raised on the good grass and sweet water of Oregon ranges each year, give us a gross return of about $60 million. On the year-round evergreen pasture land of our moist western meadows, 250,000 milch cows now graze. Dairy ranchers, they're never called farmers in Oregon, sell most of the rich Jersey milk and cream at Tillamook. Here is churned the famous Tillamook cheese. In pioneer days, A slice of Tillamook was literally worth its weight in gold, and was so traded, even Steven. From Pendleton, Oregon in the north, to the Nevada line in the south, now graze our flocks of prize sheep. Our sheep herders are descendants of the black-eyed Basques who came here from Spain and still retain the language and customs of the Pyrenees. Raising sheep, shearing them, and then weaving the wool into Oregon-designed garments. We're one of the few American states to do the entire process within our own borders. More swimsuits are woven in Portland than anywhere. Fishing boats put out from Coos Bay, Oregon for offshore operations. All in all, our wonderful fishing resources add up to a $25 million a year industry, which also delivers to the nation albacore tuna, sturgeon, bass, and shad. Watch the leaping fish. To help our fabulous salmon get upstream over the high dams built across their spawning bed rivers are specially constructed fish ladders, another effort to conserve the natural resources of the old Oregon Trail. One natural resource in Oregon where we can't improve upon nature is the Deschutes River, the only stream in the world which practices its own flood control. Here, spongy banks absorb all overflow, which then seeps back into the river to keep its flowing waters at a constant level. The Oregon Water Trail is leading our state to power and productivity undreamed of by you early pioneers. Reclamation projects, such as magnificent Bonneville Dam on our side of the Columbia River, transforms our flowing mineral into electric power. And in addition, along others of Oregon's rivers like the Klamath, the Rogue, other man-made barriers harness the water for power. Power to travel through high-tension cables to all parts of Oregon. Behind our dams, great reservoirs store the water for irrigating the once dry fields of the Beaver State. Through irrigation ditches in the Deschutes Valley, in our John Day country, and on the plateaus of Central Oregon, reclamation is producing new treasures to travel over the modern Oregon Trail from thousands of acres that were once arid wastelands. The old trail is now paved for high-speed progress from seaside to riverside. And across our mountains, a 7,000-mile network of modern highway to move Oregon traffic to the far reaches of the nation. Through the locks of our engineered waterways, out of the ports of our harbor cities, ships the cargo produced from Oregon's natural resources. From outside Oregon are imported the resources we lack. High in dollar volume are the precious petroleum products, which must be brought into Oregon from California. Diesel fuel, lubrication for our motors, gasoline for our cars. Through these vehicles of modern transportation, the pioneer villages of Oregon are now just ghosts of the old days. New cities and towns grow and prosper in their places along the Oregon Trail of today. Astoria, seaport city, first permanent settlement in Oregon. With its ferry boats and fishing fleets, Astoria is a far cry from its original fur trading post founded by John Jacob Astor in 1811. Portland, here an ever-growing, vigorous population creates an industrial capital of the Northwest, as well as an important cultural center of artistic and intellectual leadership. Klamath Falls near Lake Klamath is now a wealthy business center, marketplace for lumber, cattle, sheep, and a city of attractive homes. Salem, on the Willamette River is now our state capital. Here proudly rises the symbol of Oregon. New forms from old traditions, always the pioneer. Eugene, in the upper Willamette Valley, is a center of learning. Here is the University of Oregon, now spreading over a 100-acre campus from its humble beginning in 1876. Corvallis to the north is the site of Oregon State College, which started as a community school in 1852. Oregon, though one of the youngest states in the Union, is second in literacy. 99% of Oregonians can read and write. In proportion to our population, there are more schools in Oregon than in any other state of the Union, and twice as many hospitals as the national average. Churches of all faiths grace our every community. Spires rising in answer to the prayers of the 4 Indians who retraced the early Oregon Trail to St. Louis, Missouri, to ask for what they called a Christian book. There is a spiritual quality in the scenery of Oregon. In the mystic stillness of Crater Lake, high in an extinct volcano, a mind can know the truth. Here is solitude, far-reaching and forever. There are beautiful dreams to find in the blue depths of Clear Lake. Water 40 degrees cold. And crystal down to 40 feet. There's peace of mind in the full quietness of huge Lake Klamath. Calm inland sea along whose shores even baby pelicans can walk unafraid. Along the agate seashore from Columbia Beach at the river's mouth to Gold Beach, where the Rogue River plunges to sea, there's a white sand and blue Pacific to create a paradise of simple pleasures for Oregon's people. Seal Beach, Oregon, is for other sun worshipers. Here, I heard of about 300 sea lions come each year for wintering in the ocean caves of our coast after a summer in Alaska. Up the Rogue River, a rainbow and speckled trout, and a sea of salmon in ocean and stream. We go for spectacles and neighborly get-togethers. In Oregon City, south of Portland, each year, our Governor's Horse Guard climaxes our centennial celebration to honor our pioneer tradition. At our famous Pendleton Roundup, the whole state turns out to see the same pioneer daring in action, taking a chance for a prize. The unbroken spirit of Oregon is as alive as the wild horses which still roam our hidden valleys. Our youth grow up with the energy of the nimble deer in our virgin snowy woods. Our recreational resources are as joyfully free as the wild ducks, geese, and pheasants which soar and dip over the bird sanctuaries of our reedy marshes. The 4 seasons of Oregon give our people an exciting vitality. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Oregon, state of great natural resources, of mountain mines and valley forests, state of good people. Good Americans who, like you early pioneers, will bear no prejudice against any man for his race, his color, or his creed. Look into their faces to see what is ahead for the Oregon Trail. A state of plenty, of butter and cream, of potatoes and greens, of bread from great fields of amber wheat, of honey-sweet beet sugar, of delicious fruits, of filberts and walnuts, and red roses, of Oregon turkeys for our feasts of Thanksgiving. Yes, take back the word, pioneer scout of our legend. This is the end only of our centennial report to you, not the end of our Oregon Trail. There are many great things ahead for this eager beaver state along our trail to tomorrow.